Hi everyone and welcome to part 3 of flash photography help. I'll just check that I've got my exposure right this time. I'll just drag over my face. Bang, good. Right, so basically this time, I don't know if you know this, but I'm now dragging the focus point over my face so that we stay in focus. I was using face detection on the Panasonic G80 before and it wasn't really right cracking. So now I've got the iPad on and I've dragged over my face, it's focused once and we should be great. I am shooting it for the purpose of the video, ISO 800, 60th of a second. In fact, what we're going to do is, as we're explaining, I've now gone to a 30th of a second, which is half the shutter speed that I was using. So it means that I'm now a stop too bright. So without looking at myself, I'm just going to go from ISO 800 to 400 and know that I've got the self-same exposure that I had at the previous settings. Although it keeps flashing from 1/3 of a stop over to about right. So now we're at 2.8, 30th of a second, ISO 400. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's jump onto this video. So why have I decided to make part 3 and not have any gear with me? The reason why I've decided to make part 3, because I think it's so important that when you learn flash photography, to make it absolutely easy for you. I've not seen videos explain it like this before. I don't know whether you like it or think it's shit, but whatever, I'm sure you won't. So basically, flash photography itself, right? Let's forget 3 flashes and 4 flashes. Let's just go on 1 flash. It's easy. I'll tell you how it works. You turn your flash up or down. That's it. End of video. That's flash photography. Explained. Turn your flash up or down. Where it becomes complicated, or should I say not complicated, it's complicated if you're not taught properly. If you watch this video, I would hope that it would really give you a much better knowledge of how it works, and when you use it, you won't get confused, because the amount of photographers that I see using flash in automatic and using the camera in automatic. Now I don't just mean automatic as in the green icon, I mean like aperture priority. So they might go, right, I'm at f4 at this shutter speed, sorry, should I say, hang on, aperture priority, you'll choose the shutter speed, but you can choose the aperture and have it on auto ISO or manual ISO and let the camera do everything else. And then you turn your flash on, your camera will also try, say, right, it'll sort of decide in its head what you want to do. Now, I don't recommend you do that because 1, that just confuses the hell out of what's going on with the exposure, because when you look at it, you think, well, it's too bright, okay, what shall I do? Shall I adjust my shutter speed? Is it my shutter speed causing it? Is it my aperture? Is it my flash? Is it my flash compensation? So I won't do that. What you should do when learning flash is, now I'm not saying you can't use it in automatic. If you're in a pinch, if you're really struggling and you don't know what you're doing and you're at a party, don't think, well, John said I must choose manual and get all shit shots that are no good because you didn't know what you were doing. What I am saying is when you can and when it's feasibly possible and not at a job, try use manual to learn how it works. And if you use manual and you learn manual camera mode first, meaning how your ambient light works and how aperture, shutter speed and ISO works, then flash photography will actually become, it'll be just like picking up this can of pot and having a drink. Ooh, a nice cold can of Tango. But that was easy. That was actually harder than me taking a flash picture, because I had to stretch up and get it. Doing flash photography and photography exposure wise is easier than that. You ain't got to mess around stretching. So if you understand your ambient reading, and this is why on the previous 2 videos you've seen me on both occasions go for the ambient reading first before I even turned on the flash, because then when I turned on the flash and if it was too bright, I knew damn well all I had to do was turn my flash down. It's as simple as that. I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to move the flash. It was off camera, wasn't it, for the second part. It was on camera for the first using ETTL, which you can still do. That's still feasibly to do. But what I find out is, which I did say on the video, but I'll say it again, I find out that when you're walking around the room and you change the distance between you and the subject, yeah, you've got your ambient reading first, you know that your shot's a couple, 2 or 3 stops underexposed, So if you want to drag your shutter a bit, you can, because you know your flash will freeze the action. I don't know if you know this, but when the flash goes off, it's like using really fast shutter speeds, like 8,000 of a second. So if you're using the flash to contribute to the exposure, 50% or more, or even 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, roughly whatever you're using it at, it will freeze the action even if you're at 30th of a second, 15th of a second, if you're at a 10th, if you're at a quarter. If 60% of that exposure, 50% is a flash, you'll probably find out that somebody waving like this, it'll freeze. And if you don't understand how the flash works, you'll be wondering how that's froze, because you'll be going, well, if I turn the flash off and I do that tomorrow outside in ambient light, all my shots will be blurred. So you need to understand that about your flash. So when it goes off, that you do understand that it gives you a great shutter speed. Well, it's as if you was using a great shutter speed, but only if the flash is contributing to the shot enough. If the flash is, I'm just going to give a little example here on video. I'm showing a third of a stop underexposed now, so I'll just get it properly exposed. Oh, that light's proper changed, hasn't it? Oh, sorry, I'm speeding my shutter speed up. Sorry, guys. Right, that's now showing perfectly exposed. Let's say I underexpose it. That's 25th of a second. I'll go one stop. Now, this is only one stop dark. Flash wouldn't probably freeze that now, because it's only a stop. So you'd be still picking up motion blur. But I guarantee you that there, if I'm just going steady away like that now, if I fire the flash off at 30th of a second, it would probably freeze my hand, because the flash is contributing to the picture enough. So without going on forever and a day, we'll just try 30th. I'll go to 25th. There you go. That's showing a perfect exposure. That's 25th of a second f2.8 ISO 400. So why did I say that? Let's say, for instance, we're photographing me now. We actually know, even though you usually wouldn't know this, we know that the settings in this room are at f2.8, 25th of a second ISO 400 for a perfect exposure. But we know really for photography that's a bit slow. But if we're going to use flash, we could say f2.8 ISO 400 at 25th of a second. We could go, right, we'll up the shutter speed to 100 because it's a good enough shutter speed to freeze slow action. And we can, remember when we was talking about the ISO, we can go 800, and now I'm showing one full stop underexposed. So now the flash might be coming in, let's say you've got your manual flash in corner at room bouncing off the corner or bouncing off the window side in them. You could now turn the flash on. If the image is too bright, you know it's the flash causing it. It's as simple as that. It's such piss easy to fix. Just turn the flash down. Once you get it right, leave it. Walk around the room, go over there, zoom in, zoom out, do an handstand. I can do an handstand, you can do an handstand. Doesn't matter. The exposure is going to stay the same. And your shutter speed is quick enough because you're using 1/100 of a second, but you're only filling in one full stop of flash. So I won't go going crazy on that shutter speed. So let's say, for example, now we're going to drag the shutter to a 50th. You can see now that I'm perfectly exposed. So if you'd forgot about your flash power, you're going to get, if I'm like this, you're going to get all blurred shots because the flash is not contributing anything to the exposure. So you always need to take that ambient reading first. So we'll just do that again and put my iPad back to where it needs to be. So we will just go back to 400 and bam, perfect exposure, f2.8, 25th. Now you are meant to use in video mode, double your shutter speed to your frame rate, which would be 50th of a second. But as I'm sat here, I don't need 50th of a second because, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but you get a bit of motion blur at 25th of a second. I won't show you because it's a video tutorial is that. So get your ambient reading first and flash photography will become absolutely simple. It'll be just as easy as drinking out for that kind of tango. Now, why did we start off? I suppose a newbie question could be, John, but hang on a minute, Why did you start at 1/100 of a second? Why did you start at f4 and why did you start at 800? And this is the main reason for making this video. I started at 1/100 of a second because it's an okay shutter speed for freezing slow action. I would like slightly quicker, but you know, sometimes in low light situations, you will drag your shutter a little bit to keep lower on the ISO. Even when you're doing a wedding sometimes, you can't use flash at a wedding in the ceremony 98% of the time. I don't even use it anyhow. I just can't be bothered now with the hassle. So you are going to use ambient reading. So underexposing it 3 full stops is not, you can't do it. Whereas when the groom's getting ready and the bride's getting ready, you can underexpose your image, keep your ISO down and bounce your flash. That's cool. That's brilliant. But at a wedding, you can't. So you will find yourself, let's say for instance they're holding their hands and you're taking shots when they're getting married, you might be dragging your shutter at 50 and 60th of a second, but taking bang, 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 taking plenty of shots to get a sharp shot. But bearing in mind when they go for the kiss, or when they're going to move a bit, you need to double your ISO, and you need to, let's say you've been shooting the wedding at 60th of a second at ISO 1600 at f2.8, when it comes to the kiss and you know it's going to happen, you're going to have to up that ISO to 3200 to 1/125th of a second at f2.8 for them shots. Otherwise, you're going to end up with blurry kiss shots. Now, to be fair, it'll only blur while they go kiss. When they touch, it probably won't be blurred. It's up to you whether you want to take the chance to drag the shutter or not. But you can drag the shutter during the ceremony. And the reason for dragging your shutter is to take in ambient light. And that's why we do it. And that's why even 1/100 of a second, which were my starting point in the house, is still dragging it a bit really. But like I've said to you before, if you're really in a pickle, you could easy shoot 50th of a second, as long as your flash is contributing to that image 50%, 40, 50%, 60%, and you know because you've taken an ambient reading first and you've looked at your camera. Let's say for instance now we're going to use flash. We know 25th of a second is perfect, 50th is 1 stop underexposed, 1/100 is 2 stops, 1/200 is 3 stops underexposed. That now is 3 stops underexposed. So I know even at 25th of a second, it's not, it's at 200 of a second, but it's because I use my shutter speed to make it 3 stops dark. But let's say I didn't, I used my aperture, I went from 2.8 to 4 to 5.6 to f8. I know even at 50th of a second, binging off that flash now, it'll freeze me if I'm like that. Hello everybody! You can bing flashing down, it'll freeze me at 50th of a second because you know that it's contributing a fair old bit to the exposure. Oh wow, we don't want that. Let's go to 25th. We'll go to 30th. And we're done. So that's basically how shutter speed works. Now I'm going to give you, it's only a starting point though. It is a starting point, is that you will get better and you will get your own settings. They're just starting points. I will say that if I was doing a group shot outside today, my starting point would be 2/50th of a second f8 ISO 200. I'd shoot them in manual. And you're probably saying why? Why would I choose f8? I want a good depth of field because it's a group shot. I don't want everybody blurred. I want everybody in focus. And I'm choosing ISO 200 because you've got to start somewhere. And 2/50th of a second is a good enough shutter speed to freeze people when you're taking group shots. Depending on how you're shooting though, because I like to shoot group shots as well with my 200mm. I know that sounds crazy, but you get some really good results. Don't get me wrong, I won't shoot massive group shots at them focal lengths, but I'm on about like when you do maybe 2 little lines of 5 people. It's really good to get back, get into 200mm. You need a good aperture though, like 5.6 or f8. You can't do it at 2.8, not unless you're just shooting 1 line of people, then that's quite effective to shoot at 2.8 and get really blurred. You can choose a tree in the background that's miles away, that's darker than your subject. So you know that when you take your picture, sorry I'm going into more in depth now, but you know that when you take the picture that the light's on my face, I'm brighter than the dark trees at the background. So you've got an ace picture out of the camera, you've got a good exposure on me, you've got a dark background, you've knelt down, you've zoomed in at 200mm, you've got a nice blurred background. It's a winner. But anyway, so that's why I'd start at f8, 2/50th of a second ISO 200. I'd take a shot. If I want, let's just say I want using flash, I'd take a shot, look at the back of my screen and see what it's doing, and I'd get live feedback from there. If it was too bright, a stop too bright, I'd actually put my ISO to 100 first. If it was still too bright, I'd up my shutter speed. If it was too dark, I would up my ISO, or I wouldn't half my shutter speed unless I was going to use flash. I recommend when you're not using flash, you always keep a decent shutter speed, even if you're taking group shots outside at ISO 400 in light. Get your shutter speed up. Honestly, you'll find out, I don't know why, but you'll find out that your shots will be sharper. Definitely 100%. Even though you're shooting, don't get me wrong, the wider you shoot, the more you can drag the shutter. But I find myself commonly, especially on a cloudy day like today, being ISO 400. Whereas when I first started, I'd go, oh, 1/100 of a second's okay to freeze a group shot. And it is, but you can also get blurry shots as well. You might wobble a bit, somebody might be moving a bit quicker, really excited, and it might just not freeze them perfectly. Whereas having 200, 250th of a second, 300, 400. When I shoot telephoto now, I always like to have 400 of a second and more if I can, because I find myself getting more consistent results. Now I'm brilliant at really hand-holding my camera and getting handheld shots, but I find out at weddings that having a slightly quicker shutter speed will improve your accuracy and focus on your shots. But anyway, back to the point. Guys, girls, I can't stipulate enough. Just learn your ambient reading first, how to get your ambient reading first. And flash is as simple as turning the brightness up, turn the brightness down. That's it. Yes, you have a zoom function. You have a zoom function on the flash, and you can zoom the head in and out. Now, all that does, that's even simple. When you zoom in, your beam goes tight. When you zoom out, it goes wider. That's it. That's end of story about zoom. I would start with it at 24, 50 mil, 35 mil. Leave it. Just turn your power up and down. That's all flash is. I know that people talk about ETTL and all this lot, and it can be confusing, but it's actually not. ETTL, all that does is, I'm just going to grab my iPad again. Sorry, I'm just going to darken myself a few full stops. Bang. What ETTL does now is when you press the shutter, it sends a pre-flash to me. It measures the distance from me to the camera, and it tries to do this. There, sorry, a bit slow there. So we'll go back from there, and we'll go to a 30th. It tries to work out what the exposure of this scene that you can see that you're looking at now should be, and it pops off the flash. But that's all it's doing. Don't get me wrong, the mechanics behind it and how it works is really, really cool. But that's all it's doing. It's turning your flash up or down. And it's as simple as that. So flash is absolutely easy to understand. Now, I will do it in another part talking about how shutter speed doesn't affect flash. Depending whether you've got high speed sync enabled or not. If you haven't got high speed sync enabled, then shutter speed will affect flash. As soon as you go above your flash sync speed, you'll either get a line on your image or it'll go dark. But that's an all new ball game. So yes, understand your ambient. I feel that this part of the video is very important. Understand your ambient light. Understand what it's doing first before we bring the flash in. Bring the flash in, turn it up or down. That's it. Easy. That's flash photography. It's so easy. And if you didn't understand this part of the video, don't get me wrong, I'm going to do another part where I probably talk about the flash, how to use it. But to be fair, all I'm going to do is turn it up or down. That's all I'm going to do. Don't get me wrong, there might be a couple of presses on my trigger to choose that flash and do this, but all I'm going to do is turn it up or down. It's as simple as that. Yes, I'll do this probably in another video as well. Why you start off with 1/100 of a second indoors or 1/160th of a second, if you want to, is so that once you get your flash picture right, your flash, you can slow your shutter down then a little bit to bring the background brighter or the background darker. Like I've said, 2 exposures. One's for the ambient, one's for the flash. I'll just do one more test and then we'll end this video. What I'm trying to say is, let's say we've got the flash now at an 8th power and the brightness on my face is this. If I now go from a 30th of a second to 1/125th of a second, the flash will not be affected. So the flash will give me, my face will be the same brightness as the shot just before we adjusted, but can you see how the ambient's gone darker? So I will look like this, but the background will go like this. So now I'm at 1/160th of a second. I can go, oh, I want a darker background. I'll go to 2/50th. The flash will still leave me illuminated as long as you don't go above your shink. As long as you don't go above your shink speed, I'll still stay the same brightness. So look at the background now. We've got a really dramatic dark background. The flash is going pop, 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 and now I can go, oh, I'll brighten the background. We'll brighten the background up. Bang. That will also, not only will it brighten the back, I'll just go back to, I think, what was it 40th? No, 30th. And there you go. Not only will it brighten the background up, and I'll stay the same with the flash every time it fires, you will adjust the shadow. So let's say I was near the window, I'm not going to turn, and we was using window light here and a shadow here. By slowing the shutter down and speeding it up, we can darken the shadow on the left and the right, because the shadow becomes exposed by the ambient, unless your flash is hitting the shadow side as well. But there you go. I hope this video helps. Thanks for watching. Can you please give us a thumbs up and subscribe? And also let me know if you're still not happy with flash, and I'll try break it down even more. But we will be doing maybe a part 3 and a part 4 on high speed sync flash and the flashes that I use. But guys, that don't make the difference. What matters is getting your ambient reading, turn your flash up and down. That's it. Simple as that. I hope that helps.